Hi, Frank. Thank you so much for joining the conversation today. And to the rest of my audience, I would like to quickly introduce Frank. He is the strategic and change manager, partner with Esker Incorporated. Uh, Frank, would you like to, tell the people listening to this podcast a little bit about what it is that you do? And I'll tell you that though a lot of people understand about alliance and partnership, not a lot of people do understand what change management is all about. Would you like to, share a bit of thoughts on that one?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, thanks for having me here today, Abadeep. Apologies.
Yeah.
So when I talk to folks about what I do, so my role at Esker is principal of strategic alliances for the Americas. So I work with all of our partners, whether they're system integrators, whether they're full stack kind of delivery partners, resellers, referral partners, etc. I work with all of our partners that the Americas works with. Now, we have some offshore partners, we have some onshore partners, but it's my responsibility to make sure that the onboarding goes well, that we have partners that can deliver our software, that can implement our programs, and then make sure that they have the tools that they need, the access that they need, and then follow up with our customers, make sure that they're providing quality service. So it's kind of full purview under my under my direction there to make sure that our partner program is a success from start to finish, all the way through finding the partner, getting them onboarded and trained correctly, co-delivering with them their first couple products and projects if they're a reseller, all the way through to making sure the customer is happy and that they're successful long term and a good fit for Esker.
Absolutely. Well, Frank, that makes sense. Now, when we were having a bit of a conversation prior to this, we were also talking about, strategic alliance or partnerships. And there's I would not call it a trend. It has been there for some, maybe, 2 decades now, but it's coming more and more into prominence, and more businesses are kind of getting the drift of the importance of forming strategic alliances or partnership with different companies, specifically if they are located across geographies. Like you mentioned, you're managing it for the Americas. So, would you like to share a bit of a thought on that, Frank? Why do you think like more companies previously they used to be autonomous, right? If we talk about like companies like IBM or Dell, they were more comfortable having the entire, being the monopoly in how they marketed their product, how they service their clients, etc. But with the evolution of the partnership, solution or the stance, now more businesses are open to, they have more flexible onboarding programs for other companies who are interested or aligned with similar products or services to take it into their demography, their geography, their client base. Now, what gave rise to this change or this shift in mental attitudes for most businesses?
Yeah, I think that you're right. There is a definite shift that has happened. Partners are not a new thing, like you said. They're not new. It's not this new novel idea like, ooh, let's have another company help us out here. That's not a new idea or a new concept. I think the shift that we're seeing and why there's more focus on it now is previously, companies have been working with transactional partners, meaning you do this for me, I receive the goods, you
Yeah,
receive the revenue, the money, and we're done, right? We'll call
yeah,
you again when we need you. Now
yeah,
they're moving to a strategic partnership, right? Saying like, hey, come on board, help me get into new markets, right? Like
yes,
I work mainly in the manufacturing space, you work in the healthcare space. Okay, I'm going to leverage you from a strategic perspective to help me grow my product in the healthcare space. You know them, you're in that market, you have a brand they recognize, you're a trusted advisor, consulting group, something like that, but it's going to help them into a new market. The other part of that strategic play is size, right? And this is where we start seeing some of the growth of partners across geographic regions is I don't want to go and hire 500 people for a big swell in business that I have
yeah,
coming into my products.
yeah,
I want to make sure that I have an organization that I can partner with that says, hey, we're a staffing organization. Like if you need, 50 people for 6 months and then you don't need them anymore, great. That's what we're here for. Um,
absolutely.
and I think with the size as well, there is I work with companies that are, say, just using numbers as an example, up to
Sure.
$4 billion revenue, right? Okay, I'm going to partner with a company that is in the door with $10 billion companies or the Fortune 50, Fortune 100 companies. I want to partner with them to get my product into that market. Um, and I think, the last thing that we're seeing is the move to the strategic partnerships is
Hmm.
Madison is in the central time zone, right? So if we have a company that is a global company, how are we going to implement from Madison for Australia? Right? They're
Yeah,
about as opposite time-wise as you can get. So I
absolutely.
want to have a partner down in New Zealand, Australia, the Asia Pacific region that can work with them during their business day, but still deliver the product for me. So it's going to help me reach kind of that global audience, expand my business, take me into new markets or new revenue numbers and that's why we're seeing the switch from transactional, you do this and we're done, to strategic. Let's grow together, let's partner together, let's find some mutual benefit and mutual success.
Absolutely. I agree with that one, Frank. But as I'm talking to a lot of, people who are either managing the strategic partnership department for their organization, or there are people like myself who is trying to start up a strategic alliance department for an existing company, right? They are in a different vertical of service line, and we are trying to establish a partnership department over there. Now, what I get to hear from a lot of these people in terms of two specific challenges. Number one would be that let's say there's a company A and there's a company B. Now, company A is offering partnership options to other people who wants to, take up, become their partners and enable them to spread out or diversify their, services and all, customer service maybe, like you mentioned, at different time zones, at different geographies, so that doesn't become a bottleneck. Now, this company, company B, they are in, taking partnership with, let's say, five different companies, A, B, C, D, and E. So for these people, company A is just one of the partners that they're working with. However, when we look at the onboarding options for most partners, if we talk about, let's say, partner programs for Microsoft, Adobe, etc. So when you look at the onboarding partner programs for these companies, they have a very rigorous and very exhaustive partner onboarding program. But more importantly, they want their partners or their expectation is to work under their ecosystem. Now, what do we mean by that is that, let's say you are servicing their clients, you're generating new business for them, and you need to log all of these, and that, that has a gamification process. So your partnership level increases, you become more credible, and as you become more credible, even these people, these companies, they refer to more clients, they refer you as a more, a prominent or a preferred servicing partner, etc. So that's an entire focus on just one company. Now, this works fantastically if it's a linear option, like A and B are working together. But if it's multifaceted, then it starts to become a challenge. Now, do you identify those kinds of difficulties across other companies or an inhibition, or how do you think that is layered out?
Sure, absolutely. I mean, so that's the and we'll, you have the partner and you have the partney, I guess. The company A, the company B, the Adobes, the
I'll borrow that word
Microsofts.
for you, Frank.
Yeah, so you have for lack of a better term, the main organization, right? The
Yeah,
Microsoft, the Adobe, the Oracle, the
yeah,
SAPs. And when they look at it, I mean, their goal out of the partnership is to drive more business into them, right? It is to grow exponentially via the partner organization. So they
hmm,
want all of their partners to be more of that linear relationship, that one-to-one. So they have those rigorous standards to say, if you have a lead, you have to register it. I don't want to compete with you on
yeah,
that lead. And I also don't want other partners necessarily competing there. I don't want to back one more than the other, etc. So some of that is for visibility, right? They don't want to play favorite across partners.
yeah,
Some of it also is, their relationship, everybody wants to be a partner with Microsoft.
yes,
Everybody wants to be a partner with Adobe. So they can sit there and say, if you're with us, you're with us. You're not with X, Y, and Z, right? If you're a partner with SAP, you're not a partner with Oracle. If you're
Mm,
a partner
right.
with, Salesforce, you're not a partner with Monday.com, for instance, right? Like they're big enough that they can impose those controls. Now, you will have the other side of that relationship partners that go, guys, hang on. Like SAP, Oracle, Great Plains, you're all different. I'm going to partner with all of you because then, as the consulting organization, I can then get more customers because I have
Exactly.
multiple products that I can offer you. So I have a
Yeah.
suite of products. Now,
Yeah.
as the delivery partner or you know, the delivery partner, we'll just leave it at that,
Yeah.
they can sit there and talk to them and say, oh, you know what? You're this size. You need Oracle. You don't need an SAP. You're too big for this. You're too small for this. I suggest you go with this one. I'm going to register this lead with this partner. So I think there's a way for it to be mutually beneficial. The bigger partner, right? The main company wants to make sure that the partner is helping grow and garner more business for them. The partner, right, is sitting there going, okay, how do I assemble my bat belt? Right? How do I get all my little tools involved? And they might be sitting there saying, okay, I want an ERP partner, and I want an OCR partner, and I
Mm,
want an automation partner, and I want an AI partner. And I kind of liken this a little bit to, and bear with me here, building a
yes.
computer. If I build an Apple computer, all of the parts have to come from Apple. There is
Yeah.
one supplier of Apple parts, right? If I want to build a PC, man, the world is my oyster. I go out online and search for a motherboard, and I got 50 different companies,
Right.
right? So the partner wants to be building that PC. They want to say, okay, I'm going to take this piece over here because it's the best in the industry for AI.
Yeah.
I'm going to take this one because it's the best in the industry for character recognition. I'm going to take this one because it's the best in the industry for big, large, multi-billion dollar cap ERP. And I'm going to have all those products that I can offer. Now, the main company is going to sit there and go, great, you sell it for me, and we'll just keep developing the product. It allows
Yeah.
that main company to be a software company. They don't
Right.
have to worry about marketing and sales and getting leads and implementation services and all these other little facets here. They can focus on developing a great product because other people are out there selling it, implementing it, etc. So that's how
Absolutely.
I see those relationships working. Usually they're not picking two companies that are in the same vein that overlap 100%, right? Because then they're shooting themselves in the foot.
Right.
They're trying to find ones that help them get into multiple areas so they can always tell and the partner can always tell their customer, I have the product for you.
Right. Right. So that totally makes sense, Frank. But on the flip side of it, like you were discussing previously, it's not that the partnership model is something new, but it's gaining popularity, and companies are formalizing the process and expectation a little bit more, maybe in the last decade or so. So with that being happening, and of course it's a win-win situation, right, for both
Mhm.
companies, who are getting into the alliance. But with the it's kind of a catch-22 situation from where I see it. With, this framework becoming more popular, more and more companies are trying to, get associated as partners with some of the primary, service providers. Let's say companies that can be
Yeah.
product companies, SaaS, PaaS companies, or, any other company. But now the difficulty that this is posing is at the partner level, it's creating a lot of competition. So let's say I'm an end user and I'm looking for, let's talk about, let's say a SAP solution, right? And five different, partners who are certified SAP partners, they're reaching out to me with the quotation and solution approach. Now, as a end user, as the one who will be consuming the license of SAP, it becomes extremely difficult for me to understand or select or qualify which partner should I go ahead with. So what are some of the deciding factors that can help out somebody who is looking to select a partner, from like all of these people are certified SAP partners. But what should be the, some of the selection criteria for the businesses?
Yeah, so I think, like you hit on one right away and kind of took out one of the things I was going to say right away is certification, right? You
Yeah,
look at any company that has an established or a maturing or matured partner program, they're going to offer some sort of certification, right? They're going to say they're a certified partner. Now, the benchmark for that can vary widely. It can be you've implemented once, you've implemented 10 times, you've implemented
right.
100. They could be revenue based, etc. I think that certification is the first thing, right? Look
Mm,
for a certified partner. The other thing is look at for how long they've been a partner,
yeah,
right? So you can go and be a partner and get certified rather quickly if you go all in on it with pretty much anyone. But
right.
have you been a partner with SAP for 2 years? Or have you been an SAP partner for 20 years?
Yeah,
Right? Do you remember the B1? Or did you just come in at S4 HANA because everything's going to the cloud now and you're jumping on the bandwagon? So I think there's that, right? How long have you been a partner? References. It's the same when you're hiring someone or you're going with a builder or an electrician or anything like
absolutely. Yeah.
check the references. If they say, "Oh, I don't have a lot of experience," or "I don't have references for you to check," okay, well, is your price going to be at that point where I can take a risk?
Yeah,
Or are you going to expect that, you're going to come out of the gate with no references and I'm just going to blindly trust that you're going to be as amazing as an established partner with 50 references that's been a
makes
partner for
sense.
20
Yeah,
years?
yeah,
So, references, I think the other thing is getting just a little bit more information from them, right? So say I'm looking for a partner and I'll throw another qualifier in there for this. I'm looking for someone to upgrade me from ECC 6 to S4 HANA Private Cloud, right? So now I know, okay, this is what it is. If I can ask the partner, I could say, what's your overall roadmap? What
mm,
information are you going to need? What does your
mm,
timeline look like? What questions do we have to answer? What's your kind of overall methodology, right? Because that's where we're going to start to see some differentiators. Oh, we'll figure it out as we go. Okay, that's great if we're doing a smaller project or working in an agile methodology. But if I have someone that says, oh, we're a waterfall shop 100% and we're going to figure it out as we go. Hi, I'm a red flag, right? So I think, and some of it comes down to preference. Can you implement SAP in an agile methodology? Absolutely. Can you do it with waterfall? Absolutely. What does your organization prefer? Do they prefer agile? Do they prefer waterfall? Another thing to look at when selecting a partner is what additional services can you offer? And this is
yeah,
what gets into a little bit of like change management, process analysis, training, documentation, things like that is, some partners will offer a full package or a turnkey implementation, right? We're going to do everything. We're going to build it, we're going to test it, we're going to train you on it, we're going to do the change management, we're going to give you the crosswalk for everything that's different. And then you're going to have other partners that come in and say, whoa, 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 we do the SAP part
yeah,
and you do everything else. Like you document it, you do the change management, you do the training, you do this. And okay, that's going to work for some companies. It's not going to work for others. So
absolutely.
when we look at those additional services, that's when we start seeing kind of the differentiation across the partners. Um, and I've had a lot of people come to me just like you and say, "Hey, why am I getting two vastly different price quotes here? Like this partner is going to do it for say 60 grand and this partner is going to charge me
I was about to
400
comment that.
grand."
Yeah.
It's like, well, what are they doing for you? Right? Like,
Yes.
look at what all they're providing. How long is it going to take? What approach are they taking? Are they dedicating resources 100% to just your project? And they have a team of 10? Or are they staffing two people, but they're also on 30 different projects? Right. So there's the approach, there's the staffing model, there's the services, there's a lot of different things. So what I would say is be inquisitive, right? And
Absolutely.
find the partner that fits what you are looking for as far as how you want it to be delivered to your team. Of course, there's the what fits your price point too, right? Everybody wants the I have 10
Absolutely.
people, just working for me, but that might not fit your price point, right? So all of those things have to be weighed. And I think that's the that's the insight that some companies don't have. They look at it and they go, wow, two different numbers. I'm gonna go with this one because they're cheaper. Yeah, but what aren't you getting from that company that you're getting from the other one that has a bigger price tag? And are you going to be able to make it up for the price difference? Right? Because some companies, again, like let's just take change management, for instance. Change management takes a lot of time. It's the people side of change, right? So
Yeah.
are the people ready for the new solution?
The adoption part of it.
Yeah, it can be expensive to do yourself,
Yeah.
right? So when you look at those two different costs, this the higher cost has it in there. Can you do those services for the delta between those two costs? If no, go with the higher price. It's a bargain for you, right? Because it's a pay me now, pay me later. Pay the partner because it's you're not going to be able to get it for the same price down the road.
Absolutely. But Frank, that's an excellent point. But when you kind of take that comparison, like the cost of doing this in-house, since that cost is in more cases latent, which means that people, of course, don't sit with an Excel and figure out that cost. They don't put a number to it, so it becomes kind of easy for them to uh, strike off a higher price or a quotation from a partner, even though that they know that, okay, these are the things that the additional services that are being provided, and they do not consider that, in one part of their mind, they know that, okay, if I need to do this in-house, then of course it's going to incur some cost. But since there's no number, that difficult, the comparison becomes kind of a gray area for them, and that, prolongs the negotiation part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there can be some I like Dunning-Kruger in there a little bit
Mm, mm,
where
mm.
companies sometimes overestimate their
Yeah,
abilities to do certain things, right?
yeah,
And it's I'll segue to the other kind of part of my experience here, which is change management, because it's very apparent when you go to a company and they do good change management, right?
yeah.
Like there's change happening all over the place and people don't see it as change. They don't feel it as change. They just say, "Oh yeah, there's something different. We're doing something different today." Okay, and they just kind of move on. But then you go to a company that doesn't do good change management or they do top-down change management where it's
Mm,
just a
mm.
directive. And it's
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, we change just fine. I tell them to do it and they do it." And it's like, yes, but when you talk to the person that is directly affected by that change, they go, "Oh my gosh, like it's changing again? Oh my, like what the heck?"
Yeah.
But again, that's where you get that Dunning-Kruger is both companies say we're great at change management. But until that other company sees what good change management looks like, they don't know that they're not doing great change management. They sit there and
Absolutely.
go, it's fine. Yeah, we do it in-house. We've done it with our last four products. We brought on an ERP, we brought on this, we changed, everybody to Mac and it was fine. And we got rid of Word and everybody loves Notepad now and XYZ. And it's like, do they? You know? And I think so that's where some of it, you're right. They don't sit down with the Excel and go, okay, process analysis. I'm going to have to hire a process engineer, and that's going to be X thousands of dollars a
Yeah.
year. And I'm going to have to do this, and I'm going to have to do this. Oh, and all of them on top, I have to do benefits and 401ks and health insurance and all of these other things that when you look at it, they don't look at it and go, okay, yeah, that's an extra, 400,000 in just those services, and they're going to do everything for that. Wow,
Yeah.
this is a deal. So I think there is some of that, you know, we need to make sure, and this is why people listen to your podcast to get that information to say, oh yeah, I didn't think about that. I
Yeah.
need to consider that, because it it's just one of those things where it's a blind spot for some people or they don't
Right.
really think about it up front and it's a well we'll take care of it later. Let's go with this option now and we'll take care of that later. And it can be a detrimental effect.
It's more like the elephant in the room in that case. Like everybody,
Absolutely.
yeah. But Frank, I recently read one of your articles, and you're talking about that, change is more, in the brain, it's more like a physical pain. That's how the
Yep.
mind reacts to it. And so all these companies, we know how, fast everything is changing now, right? Even with, the advent of Gen AI and how the implication it has on the day-to-day work, aspects of it. And I'm talking about practical, applications only above from the top LLMs and all the other companies who are, creating products on top of it. Uh, so much of digital transformation and adoption is going on. So every company is cognizant, they're aware that not only do they need to change at different levels, but they need to do it fast, right? To sustain and, of course, to excel, but at least to sustain. But even with that knowledge, which is kind of a fact, it's not a myth, it's not a theory any longer. Why are companies still resistant to the fact? Does that, more practically speaking, does it really come down to a question of budget? Because if, the top management, if the strategic thinkers, they agree that yes, we need change, we are doing good, but we may not be doing good for the next 5 years. We're doing maybe doing good for now. And if we do not change, that's going to impact where we are and how we are doing in the next 5 years or in the next 2 years, maybe. So we do need change, but getting the help to, bring this change on board and then drill it down, like you mentioned, not just a top-down approach, our, horizontal approach, help the team adopt to the change, make it a part of the company's culture that will incur a budget. Now, we know that when, anything, when it comes to, taking decisions around budget, most management, they are kind of shy. They only, approve a budget, which is a must-have for now. Like, let's say they need a cloud solution that will
Yep.
improve or, something or will solve a problem right now. Yeah, maybe they will go ahead with the budget. But, future investment is not something that, most companies are very warm at. So what's your
Sure.
experience on that one, Frank? What's your thoughts on that part of it?
Sure. So I have a lot of thoughts on this topic, and I think some of it is can be short-sighted, kind of budgeting and finance in the way that we budget at our companies, right? So
Mm,
usually companies budget for the next fiscal year.
yeah.
Some companies might do the next 3 years. Even fewer companies. I mean, once we get to the real top of the pyramid, then we start looking at companies that are doing 5, 10 year budgets, right? They're looking at it
Mm,
going, okay, how in order to be sustainable and to stay around, what do we have to do with our budget over the next 5 years, 10 years? How are we going to budget these expenses? What do we need to plan for? What do we need to make sure we have, cash in the bank for, things like that, instead of saying, okay, well, what's the biggest pain and how much
yeah.
is it to fix that biggest pain?
Yeah.
So I think that's the first thing is we got to look longer term, right? Like, it's just one of those things. You don't buy a dog for Christmas going, I think it's gonna be around for a year. No, you look at it going, okay, I'm going to have this puppy for
Absolutely.
10 years, right? It's a long-term commitment. So
Yeah.
when we look at, change, especially, there is a culture that goes with it. And it's usually almost polar opposites. You have change resistant cultures and you have change resilient cultures. So
Mm,
again, you have those cultures where we come in and we're saying, hey guys, we are changing our ERP. And they go,
mm.
ugh. And that's a change resistant culture. They're going, but I know how to do it today. And I know
Yeah.
what to do in today. And I know how
Mm,
to do it. And I know what my job is. And I'm good at it. And just let me stay here. And it's like, well, we can't, right? They're ending the license for it. They're end of lifing, their end of support, XYZ. Then you have the change resilient cultures that to say, hey, we're changing our ERP. And they go, great, cool. Let me know when. We'll get there. I understood. I'm going to go finish what I'm doing, but give me more information as you get it.
yeah. Yeah.
So I think, you're right. Pain registers in the same portion of the brain as, or change registers in the same portion of the brain as pain. So how do we lessen the pain? We give them more notice, right? We start building that culture of saying, hey guys, something is going to change here.
Yeah.
We know
Yeah.
it's going to change. Here's why it's changing,
Yeah.
right? Not how it's changing or what it's changing. Give them the why. People connect with the why more than the
That,
what and the how. They
right.
care about why. If they don't understand why something's happening, they'll resist all day. Your ROI is going to be shot. Like it doesn't matter what product you put in, you're never going to get your money back. But if they understand
Absolutely.
the why, you could buy the worst product and get the best return on investment because they're with you. So I think,
Absolutely.
you know, also giving them the change time, right, to
Mm,
adjust to it. If you
mm.
go up to someone and you say, "Hey, you know what? Your apartment building burned down. You got to find somewhere else to live." It's like, what? Like, oh my gosh, and they start to panic, right? They almost go into a shock. But if you say, "Hey guys, listen, the building has been bought, right? They're going to be putting in high rises. You're going to have a chance to buy into that,
Yeah.
but in a year, everybody has to be out of the building, right?
Right.
Now they have time to go, okay, a year, great. I need to find somewhere else to live. I know the date that I need to
Yeah.
move in. I can start arranging utilities, services, movers, packers. I can find my new way to work, all of that stuff. And I can do it one chunk at a time. Today I'm going to find a moving company. Tomorrow I'm going to start looking at Google
Yeah.
Maps and see what is the best way to get there from these places that I'm looking at. So as you get there, you don't have to have all the answers right away. You don't have to have the entire plan and A to Z for the company, for the change, for the folks that are being affected by it. You just have to say, this is what's happening. This is why I'm going to keep you up to date as we're going. As
Mm,
there are
mm.
decision points, I'm going to include you or a subset of people to help guide us in the right direction. But know that this is happening. Talk to your manager, talk to your peers, talk to your friends, talk to whoever about the questions you have or concerns, etc. But this is happening. This is why. And then you can start building that change resilient culture. The funny thing about that is, I've worked with some companies where they go from a very change resistant culture to a change resilient customer in like one change, right? As soon
That
as
does happen.
as as soon as companies do it really well once,
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
are like, oh, I didn't even know that. Like, cool, that happened. Like, that was great. Like, can we do that next time? And they almost start getting excited about it because they didn't have the pain. They didn't have that bad experience about it, right? It was like, yeah, this was cool. We were successful. You told us we were successful. You gave us the information. We did a good job. You told us we did a good job. We achieved the why. We're excited. And you completely changed that culture because you really did a good job on it. It's not a quick process, right? Change management isn't a 6-week project. It's an
Absolutely.
ongoing culture um, um, nurturing, right? You have to build that culture and then you have to keep that culture going. But once you do, it's a very powerful thing. And whether it's, hey guys, we're going to start working with strategic partners, we're going to go into this new product space, we're going to go into this new market, this new industry, we're going to change focus from being an all-around company to just a software company.
Yeah.
XYZ. Once you build that change resilient culture, you're set up for success because the
Yeah.
entire company that is behind you.
Absolutely. So, Frank, one last question. For a company, anybody listening to this one, if they kind of get the drift from this conversation and they want to assess if their organization needs to go through change management or a change at this point in time, is there any framework, is there any tool that will help the decision makers of the company to take at least an initial level of understanding to see if their company is at the realm where they need to go through a change at this point in time.
Yeah, so a change in, just to ask a clarifying question, are you talking about a change in like their culture? Saying, are we change resilient or are we change resistant? Is that what you're talking about?
No, let's say if they want to implement an actual change, it can be a change in the operation and it can be a change in what they're offering in terms of, like you mentioned, either getting from something niche to being more diversified or being more generic to be more specific, those kinds of changes. So how does a company understand at least have the initial triggers and flags to say, oh, hey, hold on, you know what? We think we need to assess and decide if we need to go through a change at this point in time.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, this is something that company like C-level executives, board of directors, advisory boards, kind of everybody looks at is they're looking for that golden like, how do we know, right? Because that change from one to the other can be expensive. It can be
Yeah.
a big investment for that company. But what I would look at is two different things. Number one, how is the company doing from a health perspective, right?
Okay.
Do you still have good sales? Are you setting record sales? Are you still having a lot of new customers? Is there a lot of new interest in your company? Like, are you being sought after? Are
Mm,
there
mm,
people asking what you do, taking interest,
mm,
buying the
mm.
product still? Or has it kind of flatlined and you've hit a plateau? If you've hit
Yeah.
a plateau, do something, right? Before it starts going down. Do something, adapt
That's
some
an
way,
excellent idea. Yeah.
try something, take that bowl of spaghetti proverbially and throw it at the wall. See what sticks, right? To send out a bunch of feelers, send out surveys, even though they're, okay, but ask people, go to trade shows, say, hey, what are you looking for from our company next? What else can we do for you? What's a
Yeah.
need? What's a problem we can solve? And I think on the other side of that is asking the question as well of what if we don't change? If we stay exactly who we are right now and we don't adapt, what is our company going to look like in 6 months, a year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? Are we still going to be here? Right.
Yeah.
So if
Absolutely.
we don't change, are we still going to be okay? Right. You look at, say, like a Ford Motor Company,
Mm.
right? Great. For a long time, they were saying, you know what? We are a gas and diesel powered engine company. We will not do electric cars, right? Tesla came out. A bunch of other auto manufacturers said electric is the way to go. We see the writing on the wall. We see the renewable energy, the Paris Accords, like all sorts of stuff. Ford finally looked at it and said, you know what? All right, we're going to dip our toe in it, but we're going to do it strategically. We're going to release the baddest electric pickup truck anybody's ever seen, and let's see what happens. Okay.
Yeah.
So they sat there and they said, okay, sales are probably pretty good. Like we're going up, our stock price is going up. Like, we're still selling cars. People are still buying F-150s left, right, and center. But, again, let's look at the other side of the coin too. What happens if we don't change? If we don't start working on our EV program, are we still going to be there in 5 years? So that's both points have to be addressed. How are we doing today? And what happens if we don't change? If we stay exactly the same, where are we going to be?
Absolutely. Frank, there's actually so many other questions I actually want to have with you, but I'm just running out of time. So I'll
Sure.
possibly check base with you if we can, schedule another session. But this has been
Absolutely.
fantastic. One of the best discussions I've had. I'm sure the people are gonna love it. Thank you so much, Frank, for all these insights and for your time today.
Absolutely. Thank you. And I look forward to the next one.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'll just stop the recording here.